was great hanging out with friends. It really was. It was awesome. Welcome back to In His Mind. Just going to take a couple minutes talking about Matthew 10:28 and this particular verse here that you can see. So, in short, we had a great conversation tonight that tied in with judgment that Jesus kind of faced on right after the cross. And basically when he was laying there before he gave up the spirit and moved on, it was talked about, that he would have to, bear the weight of our sins, drink from the cup of wrath, partake of the cup of wrath, and we were discussing the nature of that cup and what was in it, whereas some had talked about what if death was actually in there. I disagree with that, and the whole thing about final judgment I also kind of disagree with, because from what I understand now, the spiritual world, things are made to without an expiration date. We're meant to keep going, angels and the human spirit. So in that sense, I was like, well, what about separation from God? I would imagine physical pain is not something Jesus would be scared about or worry over, but separation from God, I actually think that would be a possibility. Of course, going to suffer, not sure entirely where. I'll link a website that I found down below where it's talking about the different parts of hell, and I'm putting that very loosely. Sheol is just one of the words that I remember, but the other two I can't remember. Ganeth, I think. Ganeth? Yeah, there's a third one. So anyway, the two different parts there that I think really shine a light. But either way, when Jesus bore the weight of our sins that were placed upon us in that cup, I think we're not meant to know what it is and what he went through ultimately, but just know that it existed and that he paid a price for us so that we could share his life with him, so to speak. That would basically tie back with sharing in what we originally had through Adam and Eve before they fell. That would actually go back to tying with blood sacrifices made to appease God's anger against sin, to help deal with sin. That there was something in our blood and all that, a divine nature of sorts. This is interesting, but at the same time it's terrifying, because the more you know, the more you will be struggling with this. Either way, I just want to talk about this for a little bit because it's of interest. Normally you don't talk much about the cup of wrath, period, ever. Old Testament, or in this case with Jesus in the New Testament. And on top of that, there's the additional part of, Jesus would be tackling this in his human form and in his divine form? The divine body and human body? Yeah. And while I agree with my friend who said that Jesus is a part of the Godhead where he can't really be separated from each other's, I can see what he's saying, but I can't fully agree with that, because those who end up going to hell are separated from God. And if he's going to bear the weight of our sins, I still think that there's a separation there. So, in this sense, a good topic, but it's not about right or wrong. It's about just talking about what this particular verse meant. Pretty good. Pretty interesting. I would love to hear your thoughts. Please, just, if you have any thoughts on this, any questions or anything, put them down below, all right? All right, until next time.